our game are roughly 16 by 16. And our view layout, so we should be at 0, 0 here. Sweet, okay. So next thing we want to do is we just want to add a sprite. And these are going to represent our icons. And I think we've actually got our icons inside our collectibles for some reason. Under weapons. But I think that's fine. I'll just leave them there because I'm already using these elsewhere. Okay. So here we go. We can just drag that icon here, and we can work out whether it's centered or not. We don't want it centered. In fact, I don't think we even want a sprite here. I think we want a control node. So sprites are meant to be sort of in the 2D world, right? And so they sort of move with the world. But a texture rect is something that is relative to its container, right? So then now I can say this is a full rect, so this texture is going to take up the size of the whole parent. And here we can click expand. And we're just going to put a little bit of a margin, let's say like 4 by 4 by 4 by 4. And that was a little bit unfortunate. Why did that expand? Keep aspect centered. Okay. Actually, I don't know if we need. That's a bit weird. The margins seem to be going out the other way. We could try and do a -4. Somehow that seems to fix it. Cool. Alright. So we now have a generic texture, right? Which we can load in other images into this to represent whatever the player has picked up. And in fact, we're going to do that. Okay, so what do we want to do? Well, first of all, let's create a constant called icons, and that is going to be a map. And we're going to map the item type to a resource. And of course we need to load the resource, so we're going to say the constant missile icon is going to equal to the preloaded resource at resource / world / collectibles weapons missile _ icon.png. Alright, so that is our first icon, and we're just going to add our others here, ice and ninja star. I can't wait to get the announcer voice in for the weapons, because I think it's really cool. I don't know. Like picking up a weapon or a collectible in the game is fun already, but when the announcer yells out what you just got, it's like opening a present. Imagine if you went to Christmas, right? And every time you opened a present, your grandma yelled out, "Woolen socks! Chocolate bar!" Like, that would just make Christmas so much better. And that's kind of the feeling that I'm going for. Every time you unwrap the present, the announcer yells out what you got, right? And I think that's what constitutes as fun these days. Okay, what is this? Oh, That's interesting. I can't actually put that on a new line for some reason. Godot doesn't like that. Huh. You'd think the parentheses would go across lines, but they don't for some reason. Alright. Okay, so now we're going to say that when the icon, when the item type is missile, we use the missile icon. When it's ice, I'm going to use the ice icon. When it is a ninja star, we're going to use the ninja star icon. Okay? And here we're going to say when the node is ready, basically once it's set all of those, created all the nodes and entered the tree and all that, then, oh yeah, one more thing we want to do. We're going to create a variable up here. We're going to call it an onReady var, and we're going to call that icon. Icon. Maybe just icon. Okay, fine. And that's going to equal to our $ icon. So $ is just a shorthand to represent the tree, right? So $ icon is going to say from myself, find the child with the name icon. And we can use slashes and stuff in Godot to go down different children and go inside the children. So yeah, that works. That's how we do it. Alright, so when we're ready, what we want to say is we want to match on our item type, right? And if we don't know what it is, let's just say icon dot texture equals null. Right, so if we don't understand the icon, then let's just set it to nothing. In fact, we don't even need this. We can use a match instead of that. So we'll just match on missile, and we'll say the icon dot texture is equal to missile icon. If it is ice, then the icon dot texture is equal to the ice icon. And if it is ninja star, then the icon is equal to the ninja star icon, right? Cool. Sweet. Okay, so that's essentially all we have to do now from the parent's perspective. The parent only needs to set this item type variable, and we can trust that the icon will do the rest of its job by itself. And that's the whole strategy for developing Godot games. Teach children how to take care of themselves, and then you have a better life as a parent. And you go up through the parents until the top of your game becomes so simple that it works. Right? So you want to delegate all your complexity down to the children, which I haven't always done here. Although a lot of this is. So for instance, whenever you see a connect, if you have two nodes in Godot, let's say this phase timer and the status. If you want to connect, if you want these to communicate, your strategy should be to go up and find the first common parent, and all the code that governs those two children should live in the first common parent. So for all of these components, game is responsible for connecting them, but if you look at this code, it's responsible for almost nothing else. This high level component is only connecting the lower level components. It's not doing any logic itself. And that's kind of what you want to aim towards, right? Okay, so we've got these icons, right? And in fact, these status bars seem a little bit chubby. Okay, so this position doesn't need to be like that. And the size, maybe 24 is enough. 20? I kind of want it to be square-ish. Yeah, okay. So that's roughly square. It's quite small though. Maybe if we jump into our inventory icon and we just remove some of that padding, not that padding, margin. Nope, okay. Where was it? So we could put 2 and 2 and -2 and -2. Okay, so those icons are now going to take up a little bit more space relative to the background. Cool. And still feels like there's a little bit too much space between these. So if we put our separation at 0, there we go. Get our 0 spacer. And I think the problem is that our size flags are sizing this too much. So if I push 0.25, you can see that icon shrinks a little bit. I think that's maybe still too small. Maybe like a 0.4. Okay. And I think if we go into this inventory icon again, I think we'll need to put a minimum size. I thought I put a minimum size there, but I think it hasn't quite done this correctly. So we definitely want keep aspect centered, right? In terms of our rectangle, we want a minimum size of about 20 by 20, I think. And this one, we want a minimum size. Let's just put it at 20 by 20. Okay, so now if we look back at our game, okay, so those margins seem to have actually caused a problem somehow. Maybe I'll just put a little bit more margin around the icon, around the top and bottom. So if I put like a 6 and -6, that's going to prevent it from getting too squashed. Okay. And I think we also need to, hold on. This really should be a full rec. Maybe we could put a container in here instead. And let the container do the spacing for us. So there's a center container. Right, which will manage to, if we put that inside there. So if we put this as a full rack, right, then that's going to contain this in the center, and then we just put the margins in here. We have 2 pixels all around the side, and then this one